Good afternoon. Welcome to the Mind of STEM channel, where you get your daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. I'm your host, Leon Jones, and in this segment, I want to talk about green construction. Now, you see a lot of information going around talking about green energy. Green energy is very important because when we deal with green energy, we talk about sustainability. And what's involved with sustainability? We deal with materials, particularly in the construction arena. And there's some good construction materials out there, such as bamboo. Now, let me share my screen and I'm going to talk about green energy. Now, what is green construction? Well, no, if you're asking me, does it mean paint? No. Again, green construction doesn't mean that you paint a new building the color green. Calling a building green actually says more about how it's built than how it's looked. Now, when we deal with green construction, what we are talking about is the reference to the policy and processes that makes the creation and usage of the built environment as friendly to the natural environment as possible, from the design stage to the assembly to the functionality of the structure upon completion. Our green building focuses on reducing negative impacts to the planet and even adding some positive benefits. Now, I work in construction, and I want to tell you this: infrastructure is always being built. So, in the construction industry, we talk about green materials because I want to tell you this: construction is a necessary part of modern life. Why? Because humans need homes to live in, schools to learn in, businesses to work at, and of course, how you going to get to work? You need roads to drive on. So, any construction will have some inevitable impact on the environment. Now, with a growing global emphasis on sustainability, it is the responsibility of the construction industry to take steps to both minimize their own footprint in raising a new building as well as designing that building to operate in a sustainable way for many years to come. Now, green construction is the answer to that call, and it is a rapidly growing aspect of the construction industry. Now, here are some of the new processes and innovations that are part of the green construction movement. Now, when you are doing design, and again, I work for the Indiana Department of Natural Resources, and designing areas within our park facilities is our main task. But when we design something, we always have the environment in mind. So the first step in construction is design. So you have professionals such as architects and engineers. And what do? They work to create blueprints and plans for the new building and the property it stands on. This is where the layout of the building, the outward appearance of the building, and all of the systems and components that make up the structure are sketched out and prepared to be put into action. Now, the design stage is of the most important for green construction because this is where decisions are made about what type of features should be included in the new project and the sustainable steps to take to execute the build. Everything from the electrical and water systems inside to the landscape outside can have a hand in the green status of a building, and the designers are the ones who create the instructions for the builders. Now, environmental architecture and environmental design are actually the top green degrees offered by colleges and universities nationwide. Why? Because today's students hold the environment as one of their top concerns for the future. So many are pursuing careers in sustainability. Now, as more designers receive training in green architecture, that influence will continue to fuel the steps toward a greener construction industry. Now, again, when I was talking about green materials earlier, and what do you do with waste? You recycle it. So in this segment, I'm going to talk about using and recycling sustainable materials. So as I'm going to bring to the forefront about recycling, when it comes to the construction industry, an important or one of the biggest aspects of construction is that the biggest negative impact is on the environment. And it's on the environment because of the processing of building materials. And in construction, you have to create materials with wood, steel, concrete, and other materials used in construction. Again, creating the wood, steel, concrete, and other materials used in construction can cause deforestation, pollution, carbon emissions, and other harmful effects. So to minimize this impact, green construction can look at the materials they use and how they are sourced, processed, and disposed. Again, to minimize this impact, and I'm talking about carbon emissions, pollutions, green construction can look at the materials that they use and how they are sourced, processed, and disposed of to make more environmentally friendly choices. Now, a building could be built with more eco-friendly natural materials instead of heavily processed or potentially toxic ones. Now, another option is to use higher quality materials to reduce the need for frequent repairs or replacements. Now, construction teams can also recycle materials that have been saved from demolished buildings or scrapped as unused components from other projects. Many metals are durable and can be reused or recast for new buildings, reducing the heavy impact of extracting more raw materials from the concrete. A correction, many materials or many metals, metals a material, and the reason why metals are used because metals are durable and they can be reused or recast for new buildings. Why? Because they can reduce the heavy impact of extracting more raw materials from the earth. And concrete and other materials can also be recycled. I'm going to give you an example of that right now. When I travel up I-65 from Indianapolis, they're actually putting in a brand new interchange. Now, if you look east of I-65, there was an old farmhouse or an old building. It was concrete, it was steel. Now, what they are doing with that building, or what they've done with that building, they demolished the building and they brought in equipment like a crusher. Now, what are they going to do with all the excess concrete and steel? Well, they're going to recycle those materials to form brand new materials, and they're going to use the materials to help build that interchange. That is a smart idea. That's being environmentally friendly. That way you don't dump waste into a landfill producing toxins. Now, again, when it comes to building any types of buildings, prefabrication is very smart as well. Now, the way a structure gets physically built can also influence on its environmental impact. Modular construction is one building method that is showing promising results in going greener. Rather than a structure being fully built on site, modular construction involves using larger components that have been prefabricated or made in an off-site facility. Now, prefabrication allows for a more controlled environment to be built in, which can result in less material waste, reduced energy consumption, and of course, higher quality bills. Now, prefabrication places such as wall segments are transported to the project site where they are assembled. Now, with this system, modular construction can also speed up the on-site work of the project while reducing potential disruption to the community. Also, modular construction and prefabrication are among the new ways of thinking about building that can drive the industry greener. Now, also, we've talked about materials, but now we have to incorporate alternative energy sources. Now, one must understand that when you have a building, you're going to have people in that building, but you're going to have some method to keep the energy costs down. Well, this is why you're going to have different types of censored switches. If somebody isn't in a room, the lights are automatically going to go off. And they're going to do that because, see, when you have a room, and I know I have been very lethargic on this myself, where I've left the room and there's been a light on. Well, when you leave a light on, that increases your energy cost. So when you have a sensor or an electronic timing device that works when you are walking in and out of a room, that's going to help your energy efficiently or efficiency. Now, green buildings often turn to cleaner alternative energy options as a means to power or partially power their operations. Now, for most buildings, an easy way to do this is through solar panels. Now, the problem with solar panels is they don't work if there is no sun. That's just like the windmills. If there's no wind, they don't work. And when you have wind, the wind can turn the turbines. Now, moving on, when it comes to our infrastructure, many modern offices and homes have solar panels installed on the roofs. Now, these panels can collect the sunlight exposed to the top of the building each day. And what do those solar panels do? They help create electricity. Now, buildings with more surrounding property might have larger solar arrays set up on the ground adjacent to the buildings. Even a few small panels can help to create greener energy and reduce the use of fossil fuels and their emissions. Now, when we're running HVAC, this is when you install energy efficient fixtures. And again, just as I mentioned a few minutes ago, many buildings, or I'm going to say modern buildings, basically have lights, HVAC units, running water, and other amenities that require power and resources. Now, for many of these, there are eco-friendly options that improve efficiency and reduce energy usage and costs compared to other options. Now, one example of this is windows. Now, thin windows that aren't well sealed can cause excessive heat transfer, meaning that the HVAC systems need to expend more energy to maintain temperature control. Now, installing high quality double pane windows with a strong seal can reduce the unwanted heat transfer and, of course, energy usage. Now, similar effects can be had by upgrading doors and insulations. Or, again, we deal with windows and doors. You want to keep the heat in the wintertime, and you want to draw the heat out in the summertime. Well, in the wintertime, you always want to upgrade your doors and insulation. Why? Because if it is very cold and you're running your heat, and you're running your heat for a very long time, you're going to spend a lot on energy cost. Again, what I'm discussing with you when it comes to green building is alternative energy methods for energy efficiency And if you use these methods, they can help keep your costs down. Now, when I talk about energy efficiency, well, we're dealing with the fixtures, of course. So some examples of environmentally friendly fixtures include energy efficient light bulbs, automatic sensors for lights to turn off when a room is unused, just explained that earlier, toilets with variable flushing strengths, and of course, motion sensor faucets in bathrooms and kitchens. Now, I work in a government building in Indianapolis, and it is funny that that's mentioned because a lot of the faucets are motion sensor faucets. And they're very good because when you put your hands under the faucet, that's when the water automatically comes on. And then when you move your hands, the water goes off. That saves water because water can cost a lot of money. Now, one must understand this. There are a lot of accomplishments in green building. Now, we still have a ways to go, but what we're doing with green building is actually working. Now, as green construction becomes the standard in the industry, celebrating the progress and achievements on the path to sustainability can be a big part of continuing to drive these steps. Now, what I'm getting ready to go into is something big because you get awards for having a green building, you get honors, and of course, there are unique certifications. They're all used to acknowledge accomplishments in green construction by contractors, industry leaders, and of course, the building or buildings themselves. Now, the most well-known of these is LEED, capital LEED. That is an acronym for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. Now, a green rating and certification system that was administered by the U.S. Green Building Council. And how you get that certification, again, is going to be based on your rating. So by reaching various eco-friendly benchmarks, projects can be awarded LEED certified silver, gold, or platinum status. Again, when your building is rated high, it also helps your reputation because you will be LEED certified in 3 areas: silver, gold, or platinum status. Now, these certifications become a badge of honor for a building and the teams who built it. Companies are striving to reach the highest levels that they can go through by pushing the boundaries and innovating in new ways. And the new ways are making your building greener. Now, as I've been telling you about construction, construction is one of the biggest sectors of the economy. Again, construction is one of the biggest sectors of the economy, and the demand for new and renovated buildings and infrastructure will keep the industry busy for years to come. So, with an important role in society, construction has a responsibility to be a leader in implementing sustainable practices and limiting the impact on the environment. So, as the long-term effects of our actions become a greater focus, green construction will continue to grow and become the green standard. Now, again, when we deal with green construction refers to the philosophy and processes that makes the creation and usage of the built environment as friendly to the natural environment as possible. And the stages go from design stage to assembly to the functionality of the structure upon completion. Green construction focuses on reducing negative impacts to the planet and adding some positive benefits. And that concludes this topic on green construction. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and of course, subscribe. And again, if you're looking for some political content, you check me out on 411 Talk Zone radio show on YouTube. And of course, I have a Blog Talk Radio show as well. Now, if you can't find me on YouTube or Blog Talk Radio, you can check me out on Twitter, MeWe, and Parler. Now, of course, all of my STEM videos will be placed in Twitter only, while the Blog Talk Radio shows and 411 Talk Zone radio shows, they will be posted on MeWe, Twitter, and of course, Parler. And I say that because Parler and MeWe are, for the most part, political channels. And after that, I just want to say this. Thank you for listening to the topic of green construction right here from the mind of STEM, where you get your daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious day.